welcome back to my Halloween series. Are we digging this? How cool is this? It's a spider web poncho. I love it. Kind of reminds me of a bat as well, the wings of a bat. It's so cool. And I'm also wearing my Bellatrix necklace. Love it. So yes, in today's video we're going to talk about the top 10 most scariest moments in Harry Potter. Well, scary in my opinion anyway. So if you want to hear me talk about these scary moments that I personally find quite scary, I don't mean like I literally am petrified. I just mean they make me quite uncomfortable. Then keep on watching. And if this is the first time you see my face, hello and welcome to my channel. If you would like to become a Potter Poppet with us, please click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. All my social medias are linked in the description of this video. Go see what I'm up to on those. And guys, I am trying so hard to hit my big milestone, my next big milestone of 2,000 subscribers. So I'd really appreciate it if you considered clicking that subscribe button. Also, just quick before we get started, I want to thank my lovely Patreons. They help me keep this channel running just that little bit more. If you'd like to know a little bit more about Patreon, the link's in the description. Go check it out, and if it's for you, then come join us. So these aren't in any particular order, they're just a top 10. You've seen my top 10s, okay? It's hard to pick a top 10 sometimes, let alone putting them in some sort of ranking as well. Number 1, Aragog. And when I say Aragog, I mean the scene in Chamber of Secrets when Harry and Ron go to see Aragog in his lair. Ooh, spiders. I can remember the first time I saw that scene and I thought, oh, is that it? Is there only going to be 2 films? Because that's literally how this scene was looking it was going to be heading. So first off, you've got Harry and Ron obviously going through the dark forest, which is dark, obviously. And then obviously they end up in Aragog's lair, which is really creepy, and then Aragog shows its big, hairy, ugly self. Then, of course, it opens its mouth, and it sounds disgusting and scary as well as looks disgusting and scary. Then it threatens them, and then it's like gonna feed them to its babies. I mean, don't get me wrong, Aragog's obviously a good parent because it wants to feed its babies, but I mean, come on, it's just gross, and I honestly thought that this is it. Bye, Harry and Ron. And then when the babies all go like crawling down and stole the legs, there's just too many legs on a spider. It's not normal. Those meant that many legs? No. And when the spiders are that big, you can see every little detail, the fang things and every hair. We had a spider in a bath once. I'm not going off topic, we're still on about spiders by the way. It was in the bath, nobody was at home, right? And I thought it was a mouse at first glance because it was that big, right? I started throwing things at it because I was not going in that bathroom. I was throwing things at it and I couldn't get, oh my gosh, I was traumatized. Anyway, back to Aragog, Harry Potter spider. Yeah, that scene for me is gross. And then obviously they get chased out and all those legs, like, obviously there's 8 legs and Harry and Ron have 2 legs each. They were outnumbered with legs, and 8 legs would make you run faster. But every time I watch that scene, I'm not even kidding you, when they're running out more than anything, and then obviously the car comes, and every time I watch that scene, right, every time it gets to me, and I always think, are they going to make it out alive? Oh my gosh, and I'm sat there like, oh my gosh, please, 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 just get out there alive. What is wrong with me? But yeah, that's definitely in my top 10 of Harry Potter scary moments. Definitely, yeah. Moment number 2 is also out of the Chamber of Secrets. It's the scene with the basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets. That scene is just, that is a big snake. When Harry is in them tunnel things and the snake, the basilisk, is sliding through, it's gross. And obviously then Harry's in that bit, the basilisk's been blinded and he's like stood at the back of one of the tube things. And I'm like holding my breath for him. I'm like, don't breathe, don't move, Harry, don't make a sound. And then the basilisk keeps moving and every time I'm like, but then Harry is met once again with the basilisk in the main area and he's trying to fight him. And yeah, that scene gets to me, you know, it's the fangs on it. That, because it's a very large, oversized snake, its fangs are oversized. And obviously, yes, he got caught with the basilisk fang towards the end, but this what, like that long? That could go through your head. That's just, whoo, dangerous situation. And then throw Tom Riddle into the mix, you know, young Voldemort, then yeah, that scene's quite dark and it's a scary moment in that scene. And yeah, it's scary. Moment number 3, scary moment number 3, when Nagini attacks Arthur. Is that in the Order of the Phoenix? I have a feeling it's Order of the Phoenix. Cut me a bit of slack. There's 8 films, okay? And there is a lot of scenes during them 8 films. Sometimes I forget which scene is in which film. But I'm sure it's Order of the Phoenix. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm not really keen on that scene. I will be honest. I don't think anyone that enjoys that scene, there's something wrong with them. Death Eaters. But yeah, poor Arthur, bless him, laid there, and you are actually Nagini, or the camera, or whatever you want to call it. And it's like going at him, lunging at him, and every time obviously it comes back, there's another blood stain like on him, like more blood on him, and it gets to me because obviously Arthur is such a lovely man. It's a scary moment, and I imagine it obviously being a scary moment for Harry during that moment, because he is Nagini in a sense. He is as Nagini doing it, like watching it from Nagini's point of view, and he can't do anything about it, and you can't do anything about it, and I'm sat there like, no, Arthur, no. But yeah, I do find that quite a scary moment in the Harry Potter films. Yeah, definitely. Scary moment number 4, in theory, in the Half-Blood Prince, when Dumbledore and Harry go to the cave to get, well, it was the fake Slytherin locket, wasn't it? And obviously Harry needed to get water to give Dumbledore after he drank that horrible potion to get to the locket. And obviously he aguamente in where that potion was, but water went in, but he couldn't scoop the water out with the crystal goblet. So then he saw the lake that was, well, it's the sea, isn't it, that's into the cave. And it gets me every time when does it grab him? I can't remember. But obviously they start showing themselves and it's like, oh my gosh. And I am not a fan of zombies at all. I can remember going to see Shaun of the Dead. I went to the cinema to see it when it first came out in the cinema. And it's meant to be a comedy. I did not like that film. I was actually really scared. And I am someone that sits and watches Walking Dead, but the zombie bits really get to me. So yeah, the scene with In Theory, I mean, obviously it's when they start grabbing and then they like drag Harry under the water. Dumbledore saves the day though. Good old Dumbledore. But that scene, it's not nice. It's not nice. Another one that gets me every time. Scary moment number 5. When Harry and Hermione bump into Bathilda Bagshot. Obviously, we know now, not when you first watched it, but it's Nagini in Bathilda. Bathilda Bagshot is actually dead, and it's quite gross. But, okay, that scene is really dark, and it is quite spooky, especially, you know, they follow Bathilda, don't they? They don't really know what's going on. All they know is that they think they're safe. And then she takes them into their home, and obviously she will only speak to Harry away from Hermione because she's speaking Parseltongue, because she's a snake and Harry will understand her, but Hermione will twig. Obviously Hermione finds out too late what's actually going on when she, obviously, I'm assuming, finds Bathilda dead. It's quite gross because there's blood and there's flies and it's just minging. But then obviously Nagini comes out of the skin of Bathilda Bagshot or whatever. It's gross. It's really gross. It's not for kids. The bit that really scares me and gets me every time, and I think I've mentioned it in a video before, is when they're fighting Nagini and Nagini falls down, it's like stairs into it or a hole in the floor, can't quite remember, and they're like looking over and Nagini just goes honestly, that bit gets me every time. I don't quite time it right every time. I prepare myself, but I never do it well because it makes me jump every time. But I do find that whole scene quite scary. But yeah, the bit where Nagini, yeah, that's a good jump scare, that. Scary moment number 6. When Katie Bell touches the cursed necklace, obviously outside they're in Hogsmeade, aren't they? Because they've just been to the Three Broomsticks. They're in Hogsmeade, aren't they? But she touches the cursed necklace and then obviously she gets sort of thrown into the air and held into the air and she's like that. Every time that scene happens, like when I watch that film, obviously that's Half-Blood Prince as well. Every time I see that scene, it really scares me. I think when she gets levitated, I think it's the noise. I literally get goosebumps everywhere, and it really, really creeps me out. I think it's It's a really creepy scene, alright? Is anyone else with me? You'll have to let me know if you guys agree with any of these scenes too, or if there's any scenes that scare you that I haven't mentioned, because there is more, I just had to pick 10. But yeah, you know, I like you chatting to me in the comments, so go chat. Scary moment number 7, the cornfield at the burrow. You know when Harry and Ginny go chasing the Death Eaters? They're idiots, really, aren't they? But they go chasing them through the cornfield. Obviously, it's really tall. There's rustling next to him, and it's one of them moments where you're like really still, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is gonna happen? And then it's that moment when Greyback just sort of casually comes through the corn, because that man scares me. He scares me more than Voldemort does. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, that scene really does creep me out. The way they're like running through, there's rustling either sides of them. It's just, it gets to me. I can't even explain it. It just really gets to me. Does it get to anybody else? It just does every time. Every time that scene is on the telly, I'm just like, I freeze while I'm watching it. I'm just frozen watching it. Even though I've seen it so many times, I freeze every time. It's like I'm watching a horror movie. I'm not very good with horror movies. I can't watch gory, but I like anything to do with ghosts. But yeah, that is another scene that really gets to me. Scary moment number 8, when Harry and Draco are in the bathroom in Half-Blood Prince again, and Harry casts Septum Semper, I can never say that right, you know what I mean. When he casts that spell onto Draco, now it's really stupid that Harry casts that, because he didn't know what that spell could do. It's stated to use on enemies, or for use on enemies, whatever it said next to the spell in the Half-Blood Prince's book. But still, you shouldn't use that spell, Harry, because you don't know what it does. But he does use it, and obviously Draco falls, and it's horrific, that scene. And it does get to me, it scares me, because during the Half-Blood Prince, for me, I start to feel a little bit sorry for Draco. He's been pushed in to do something that he doesn't really want to do. His life's at stake, and I know a lot of people don't like him. I mean, I don't like him, but I just feel a bit sorry for him. In the Half-Blood Prince. So yeah, when that scene, it scares me, because yeah, the first time I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, Draco's gonna die. Oh my gosh! But even though, obviously, that was the first time I saw it, every time I see the scene again, it still gets to me, it still scares me, because it does make me think, what if Draco did die? Draco, he's needed in the films, he was needed. Bless him. But yeah, that scene scares me. Scary moment number 9, guys, when Charity Burbage is hovering over the table at Malfoy Manor, when you've got Voldemort and all his cronies, obviously. The Malfoys at that table, Bellatrix. Is Greyback there? Ugh. But yeah, she's there hovering over the table. Obviously Snape's there, because she says, you know, tell them Snape, and he can't say anything. It's such a sad scene. Draco and his mum Narcissa. I don't think Narcissa, I've said this so many times, I like the woman. She's not as badass as she's supposed to be, or she's made out. She really, really isn't. She doesn't want any of this. Lucius is a coward. He don't do otherwise. So Narcissa is following her husband, and Draco obviously is going to follow his parents. But Draco and Narcissa, they are petrified at that table, absolutely petrified. Bellatrix is loving it. And Lucius is just a coward, Daddy Malfoy. But yeah, so a lot goes on in that scene, and it kind of gets you feeling a bit scared, along with Draco and Narcissa. And then obviously, yeah, she comes floating towards Voldemort that bit more, Charity Burbage does. He says his piece, and then kills her. And it's like, oh my gosh, and poor Draco. And it's quite an intense scene, really, to watch. And then, of course, just to finish that scene off, Nagini has its dinner. But yeah, that scene really, really gets to me. Does it anyone else? And the last one, guys, scary moment number 10. It is one big moment. It's the Battle of Hogwarts. It had to be in this list. So, obviously, why I get scared, even though, again, I've watched it so many times. I think, actually, Deathly Hallows Part 2 might be one that I've watched the most. I'm sure it is. But I find that in that scene, for the whole Battle of Hogwarts, not only are you scared for people's lives, because I just think it was very well done. You feel like you're there with them in a sense. But yeah, not only people are dying around you, you've got the spiders that are back. The giants are awful. Obviously, there's Death Eaters everywhere. They're scary enough. There's Dementors. Like, literally, all those scary things are there. Everything is there. And do you know what scares me? It really starts to scare me and make you realise the seriousness of what's about to happen just before the Battle of Hogwarts, is when McGonagall does her spell. I've always wanted to use that spell. And Molly's face does it for me. She's so straight-faced, whereas normally she's so smiley. You don't really see her upset, but you can see the fear in her eyes. So I'm like, oh my gosh, if Molly's scared, I'm scared. And obviously during the Battle of Hogwarts, for one of the worst deaths for me, Snape. That scene scares me so much. When I say it's the worst death for me, what I mean is in violence. It really was a violent death. I mean, obviously death is, all the deaths were violent, but that was, you know, his throat slashed and then Nagini ate him. But yeah, the whole of the Hogwarts battle really gets to me. I do cry a lot during Deathly Hallows Part 2. I find it quite sad. I get angry for them. And it really scares me. There's a lot of emotions flowing in that film. So there you have it, guys. They are my top 10 scariest moments. Like I said, there is probably more. Maybe you can name some more for me in the comments below. You know I love it when you chat with me. But yeah, that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a big thumbs up if you did. And I will speak to you all in my next video. Bye, Pots Poppets.